Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support. She walked me to the door with a kiss that tasted like cinnamon and said, "Text me when you land, okay? I'm making that roast when you get back." The house smelled like lemon cleaner. The couch throw was folded into that neat rectangle she loved, and she did that little wave with her fingers as I rolled my suitcase out. Normal. Solid. Us. 2 nights later, I stared at my phone in a hotel room in Omaha, and us was quiet like a turned-off radio. No check-in. No good night. I called. She picked up on the third ring. "Hey," she said. Too bright. Quick breath. "Can we talk later? I'm exhausted. Big day. I'm going to crash. You okay?" "Just tired. Love you. Night." The line went dead. I put the phone face down and told myself I was overthinking. She'd call tomorrow. She always did. If I'd known where it was headed, I wouldn't have tried to sleep. I would have gone for a run until my legs quit. Morning came. Nothing. I spent the day in a warehouse with a clipboard and a team that wanted answers yesterday. After dinner, I grabbed a gas station coffee, went back to the hotel, and stared at that phone again. Still silent. I told myself she deserved the benefit of the doubt. She'd been perfect for 3 years. Careful, funny, smart. She kept our house humming. I reminded myself that love means you don't go looking for storm clouds. At 10:30, a text buzzed from a name I barely recognized, Annette. Neighbor 2 doors down. 40, sharp eyes, hair usually in a no-nonsense bun, recently divorced, ran each morning like a metronome. "Say to your wife, be quieter." "I can't sleep." I frowned. Annette wasn't the type to misfire texts. I thumbed back. "I'm out of town." "What are you talking about?" No answer. A minute. 2. I typed again. "Annette?" Another 5. I wasn't blinking anymore. 10 minutes stretched like an hour, my head filling with every bad movie scene I ever rolled my eyes at. I told myself she probably heard the TV, or the dishwasher, or a podcast. 30 minutes later. Not sure how to say. Don't want to hurt you, but there's some tall, muscular guy in your house. With her. I saw through the back window. I stared at the message until the words lost shape. My thumbs hovered and typed something stupid. "How dare you?" I didn't send it because a second bubble popped up with a photo. Grainy, but the shapes were unmistakable. My couch. Her hair. Big guy's arm tucked around her shoulders. Her face turned toward him, soft, familiar, like the face she'd used when she looked at me across the table on Sundays. The wrong part of me wanted to shatter something. The useful part sat down. I erased the angry text and typed. "Please take a few more if you can do it without getting seen. I owe you." Annette's reply was short. "I will. I'll use that favor." I paced the hotel carpet while my phone fed me shots of my living room from different angles. 2 glasses on the coffee table, his jacket draped over the arm of the couch, her laughing with her hand on his chest like she'd just thought of the funniest thing on earth. She had never looked happier. That last thought was poison. I threw it away. When the sun showed behind the blinds, I called a lawyer I know from the Rotary breakfasts. "Tyler, buzz cut, even voice, never oversells." I forwarded the photos. He said, "Don't confront her from the road. Let me get the paperwork prepped. Come to my office when you land. Don't tip your hand. You'll need a quiet exit strategy." I told him to move. He moved. Then I did my job. That week, I was the best version of myself at work anyone had ever seen. I told my team exactly what I wanted, signed the contracts that needed signing, and kept my hotel bed made like housekeeping had nothing to do. She called that night. Her voice was warm honey. "Hey you," she said. "Missed you today. Fell asleep early last night. So sorry. How's Omaha?" I leaned back in the chair and looked at the stain on the ceiling tile. "Busy," I said. "I made that roast, by the way." "Practicing," she laughed. "It was pretty good." "Nice," I replied. "I can't wait to have you home. I'm counting down." "Me too." She didn't hear the iron in my tone. Or maybe she did and thought it was fatigue. She filled the silence with details about errands and laundry. She said she'd started watching a documentary. She said she turned in early because she was wiped out. She said she loved me. After we hung up, Annette sent another photo. The 2 of them out back at my grill. Evening light. He held tongs like a soldier holds a rifle. She had her hair in a messy knot and wore my old college sweatshirt. He was comfortable. They both were. That bothered me more than the rest. I texted Annette. "Thanks. Keep yourself out of sight. Don't take chances. Her reply, understood. I run covert operations before sunrise, remember? I smiled because it was ridiculous and true. Then I sent every file to Tyler. He told me he'd have a packet ready before I touched down. I asked him not to call the house. He said, I don't call houses. I call people who want clean exits. The next night she called again. Today was errands, gym, groceries, she said. Boring. Stay safe, I answered. What does that mean? She chuckled. Exactly what it sounds like. When we were done, Annette sent me a short video. My yard, string lights on. My wife, handing that guy a plate. He grinned like he owned the block. If you're waiting for me to describe what that did to my chest, you'll be waiting a long time. I don't catalog pain. I only measure what it demands from me. It asked me to grow up fast. 2 days later, mid-afternoon, I took my lunch in the field office with a foreman named Mike who chewed toothpicks like it was his side hustle. We ate in silence for 2 minutes before he said, You look like you're doing math in your head you don't like. That obvious? I took a bite, put the sandwich down. He shrugged. We're men. We don't talk, but we do. You want me to mind my business? I can. Keep doing the job. He nodded. Then I'll say this. Whatever you don't control will control you. That's true for crews, and it's true for houses. Appreciate it. I wasn't going to air my life at work, but the message was nailed to the wall. Control what I control now. No scenes. No speeches. Rules. When she called that night, I let it ring twice and picked up. You're getting formal, she teased. Long days. I can tell. Hey, I was thinking we should host people when you're back. You know, get the backyard going. Not this time. Why not? Because I said not this time. She went quiet for a beat, then slid into syrup. You sound stressed. Eat something good and turn your brain off. I'll call you tomorrow. That was the first soft pivot. A little warmth, a little sorry, like she could feel the temperature drop and wanted the thermostat back. I noted it, gave it nothing. Annette's next text came late. He's here again. Same window, same couch. I typed to Tyler. Add each day's timestamp to the packet. He answered. Already done. Fly safe. If you're looking for the moment I fell apart, you'll be disappointed. I'm a simple man in the ways that matter. When I see a nail, I don't eulogize the wood. I get a hammer. I flew home on a Wednesday. On my way from the airport, I stopped at Tyler's office. He slid an envelope across the desk, thick with papers. He gave me a concise list. What to hand over, what to say, and what not to say. I signed where he pointed. He said, Do this with a steady hand. Don't do her the favor of theatrics. I don't do theater. Good. Then go be you. Outside, I called a locksmith I'd used before and booked him for Thursday morning. I scheduled a meeting with my bank manager for Friday to adjust account access and set new rules about transfers. I texted my buddy Steve, works at the gym, 6'3", laughs like a car pinging back to life. You around Friday night? I asked. For you? Always, he replied. Let's plan steak at my place. Early. You sure? Yes. I drove home along our tree-lined street, past mailboxes I could name in my sleep. When I pulled into the driveway, the porch light was on and the front door opened like she'd been waiting with her ear to it. She stepped out in a soft sweater, hair down, smile turned up to 11. There he is, she sang. My traveler. Come here. She wrapped me in a hug that would have melted me last month. She smelled like cinnamon again. The table inside was set, the roasted carrots, everything balanced in that way she did without thinking. You must be starving, she said, steering me in by the elbow. Let me take your bag. Sit. Shoes off. Get comfortable. You're home. I am. I agreed, setting the briefcase with Tyler's envelope on the entry table. My hand brushed the wood. Solid. Ours. She poured me iced tea without asking and kept chattering. I cleaned your office. Hope that's okay. It looked like a paper tornado went through and I wanted it nice for you. Appreciate it, I said, and pulled out a chair. She lit a candle. I made your favorite. I wanted you to feel, you know. Us. Us. The word had no weight anymore. I let her fill my plate. We ate like Midwesterners. No phone, no TV, just the clink of fork on plate. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. I told her about the contract I'd landed. She told me about a neighbor's new dog and a sale at the farmer's market. She laughed twice in the places you'd expect. Halfway through, she reached across the table and put her hand on mine. "I'm proud of you," she said. "I don't say it enough." I studied her fingers. Her nails were shorter than usual. Small detail. I filed it with the rest. "Thank you," I said, and slid my hand away. "Everything okay?" She tilted her head. "Everything's clear," I answered. After dinner, she stacked dishes and hummed. "I'll handle this. You go shower. You look wiped." I took the envelope from the entry table, set it on the kitchen island, and waited. She turned with a dish towel in her hand. "What's that?" she asked, still humming through the last syllable. "Paperwork," I said. "For what?" "For you to read." I tapped the edge. She set the towel down. "Do I get a hint?" "You'll find it in the first page." The warmth sank from her face. She opened the envelope, pulled the first sheet out, and her mouth shaped a word she didn't say. She flipped through faster, eyes tracking, breathing shallow now. When she reached the photos that Tyler had printed, her voice hit the wall. "Where did you get these?" She slapped the page with 2 fingers. "Is this some kind of joke?" "No," I said. Her eyes snapped up. "Annette." It was Annette, wasn't it? She's had it out for me since she moved in. She thinks she's better because she runs every morning like a machine. She's lonely and bored in. I cut in. "Stop making up stories. Look at the photos again. That's our couch. That's my sweatshirt." She set her jaw. "He's my trainer. He came by because we moved our sessions around. It's cheaper at home. That's all. You know I'm careful with money." "He uses my grill too?" I asked. "You're being dramatic," she shot back. "You're tired. This is what happens when you travel. You make up narratives. You don't trust yourself, so you grab the worst idea and—" "Enough." I tapped the paperwork once. "I trust the camera more than I trust your paragraph." She softened her voice a fraction. "You really believe a neighbor over your wife?" "I believe evidence over a monologue." Her face twisted. "Don't you dare talk to me like I'm—" I held up a hand. "I'm not talking like anything. I'm setting a boundary. Read page 3. It has dates and times. It also has next steps." She started to argue again and then pivoted like a dancer, sliding into repentance. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have told you he was coming over. You hate surprises. I wanted to save the money. I know how it looks. I should have been more careful." That was the second soft pivot. Noted. I kept my voice calm. "You were careful. You just weren't careful with me." She blinked, registering the line like a slap without the sound. "You can't be serious with this." She held the packet as if it would change if she squeezed it hard enough. "I'm finished sparring. I'm finished guessing. I'm changing the rules. You don't live here anymore. You'll pack a bag tonight and go wherever you need to go. You can coordinate with Tyler if you have questions." Her mouth opened and shut. "We don't need to do this. We can talk. I'll cancel the sessions. I'll do whatever you want. Don't blow up our life over nothing." "Over nothing," I echoed. "If nothing is what you want to call it, that's your vocabulary. Mine is different." She looked around like the room would help. She saw pictures on the wall, the lamp we bought at a flea market, the pot with the basil we never remembered to trim. She tried again. "You know Annette has had a problem with me. She thinks I'm fake. She thinks I don't work. She probably staged these to mess with us. You know what I think?" I bent and opened the junk drawer, took out the spare keys, and put them on the counter. "I think you can leave with these in your bag. The rest we'll handle through Tyler." She shook her head like she could shake the whole scene away. "You won't even hear me out. I've heard enough words this month to last a decade." That was the kill turn, quiet, final. Not because I yelled. Because I didn't. She set the packet down and tried anger. "Fine. If you want to throw away your marriage because a bored neighbor took photos from a stupid angle, go ahead. You'll regret it. You overreact when you're tired. You always do." I looked at the wall clock. "It's 9:30. That gives you 30 minutes to pack what you need for 2 weeks. You can text me when you want to coordinate the rest of your belongings. You will not be in this house when the locksmith arrives in the morning." Her lips trembled. She switched tactics again, tears coming now like a faucet she knew how to open. "Please, please don't do this. I will fix everything. I swear." "You can fix your schedule," I replied. "You can fix your address. You can't fix my respect once it's gone." She grabbed my wrist. I looked at her hand, then at her face. "Let go," I said. She did. She went upstairs and pulled a suitcase from the closet. I heard drawers glide and stop. I heard hangers scratch the rod. I didn't go up. I took out a notepad and wrote a short list of errands for the morning. Locksmith, bank, gym with Steve, text a couple of friends who needed to hear it from me, not a neighborhood echo. When she came down with the bag, she had a different face on. Humble, soft, that early days sweetness dialed up. "I don't want this," she whispered, standing by the door like a kid waiting for permission. "I know," I answered. "Where am I supposed to go?" "You're an adult. You'll figure it out." She sniffled, then tried one last gambit. "Can I at least come back tomorrow to talk? We can do it calm. I'll bring breakfast." "No. You'll coordinate through Tyler." "So that's it," she said, half laughing now, half something that wasn't laughter. "You're throwing me away like trash." "I don't throw anything away," I said. "I put it where it belongs." She looked at me like she'd never seen me. "You've changed," she said. "No," I said. I finally caught up. She gripped the handle on the suitcase and rolled it to the door. Before she crossed the threshold, she turned with one more script. "He really is just a trainer." "You'll have time to train," I replied. "Every day? Somewhere else." She left. The door clicked. The house exhaled. I stood in the quiet and wrote another line on the notepad. New garage code. I slept that night on clean sheets and woke before sunrise. The locksmith came at 8. He worked with the efficiency of a man who'd seen worse than my Tuesday. By 10, the keys in my pocket matched locks that owed me nothing. At noon, I sat at the bank and made rules I should have made years ago. Transaction thresholds, separate accounts for shared bills, alerts pinged to my phone, no exceptions. The manager looked at me and asked, "Life event?" "Yes," I said. "Understood," she said, and keyed the computer like she'd been waiting to do me a favor. At 3, I stopped by the gym on the way home. Steve was behind the desk, spinning a pin like a baton. He sized me up with one look. "You good?" "I'm clean," I said. "That's not the question. It will be. You want to hit something, or you want to cook?" "Cook," I said. 6 o'clock. My place. He slapped the desk. "I'll bring the meat." "Bring Annette," I added, surprising myself. He lifted an eyebrow. "Annette the neighbor?" "She helped. Should I call her?" "No," I said. "I'll handle it." I texted Annette. "Thank you again. Come by at 6 if you want steak." Doors open, figuratively. Not literally, because new locks. Her reply was immediate. "I'll bring salad. And I'm charging interest on that favor." When I got home, my phone started buzzing like an alarm clock. 8 missed calls. 9. 10. Messages stacked. First, apologies. Then arguments. Then late-night voice notes from her number saying she couldn't sleep, she couldn't eat, she couldn't breathe. I didn't answer. I didn't block her yet. Not because I wanted the contact, because documentation is a kind of armor. The next morning, a text from an unknown number arrived with a paragraph about misunderstandings. I recognized his tone, the comfortable guy from my couch. It was neat, clipped, polite. It read like a courtesy from a man who thinks he's doing you a favor by telling you the sky's blue. I replied with one line. "Any further contact goes to Tyler." I forwarded it to Tyler. He said, "Got it." She tried a different approach the day after. A knock at my door at noon, gentle like a neighbor selling raffle tickets. I opened it halfway. She stood on the porch with a paper bag. Inside, his and hers granola bars, my favorite yogurt, a jar of her slow-cooked sauce. Her hair was in a ponytail. She wore the sweatshirt she'd claimed was a coincidence in the photos. "I made you a care package," she said. "I know you don't eat right when you're stressed." "I do now," I answered. "Can we talk?" She held the bag out like it was a pass. "We talked," I said. "Tyler will talk now." "Don't be cold," she said, voice tightening. "I'm not cold. I'm clear." She looked over my shoulder into the house. For a second, I could see her taking inventory. Couch, lamp, coffee table. Her eyes lingered on the framed photo of us at the lake, my arm around her, both of us squinting into the sun like idiots who thought wanting the same sandwich meant wanting the same life. "Who's coming over?" she asked suddenly, with a little laugh that tried to land like a joke. "Friends," I said. "Which ones?" "The ones who respect the house." She swallowed. "You're really doing this?" "I already did." She pivoted off the step, then pivoted back. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I forgot who we were." "You didn't forget," I said. "You gambled." She went down the walk and didn't turn around. When she reached the sidewalk, she put her phone to her ear and started talking fast. I closed the door. I ate one of the granola bars and threw the rest in the pantry for the next time I forgot to shop. That night, Steve arrived with steaks, a bag of charcoal, and 2 jokes I can't repeat in polite company. Annette came in a blue dress that surprised me. Hair down, subtle makeup. She put a salad on the counter and surveyed the new locks like an inspector. "You weren't kidding," she said. "I never kid about locks," I answered. Steve took the tongs at the grill like he'd been born with them. We stood around the yard and didn't pretend we were anywhere else. Annette leaned against the railing with a plastic cup of water and finally said it. "I'm sorry I had to be the one to tell you. I sat on it for 10 minutes because I felt sick about it." "You did the right thing," I told her. 10 minutes doesn't matter. 10 months would have. "You good?" she asked, searching my face like she'd find a crack. "I'm better each hour." "That'll do." Steve flipped a steak. "He's better because he stopped bleeding," he said. Same as the time I cut my hand on a plate. It wasn't the cut. It was the kitchen towel that wouldn't stop turning red. Annette smiled at him. "You make everything sound appetizing." "We're talking about meat," he grinned. Annette looked back at me. "You know she tried to corner me yesterday," she said. "Came by on her run. Told me I'm bored and jealous. Asked me why I couldn't mind my business." "What did you say?" I asked. "I said my business is sleep. And your house kept me up." I laughed, short and mean. "You're getting a steak for that." We ate at the patio table. I told them the basics. No details meant for gossip. Just the spine of it. The quiet phone, the texts, the photos, the packet. I told them what I'd done since. Locks, bank, rules. Steve nodded like he was grading a test. Annette listened with her head slightly tilted, like a sparrow determining if the breadcrumb is bread or poison. "You kept your dignity," she said. "I kept my time," I said. "Dignity tags along." She set her fork down. "If you need me to be a witness for anything." "No courtroom," I cut in, shaking my head. "No appeal to a judge. Just a clean administrative thing with signatures and a stamp. The rest of it, we leave on the curb." "Good," she said. "Less drama." When the plates were empty, Steve stood with his hands on the back of his chair. "You're staying busy tomorrow?" "Work in the morning," I said. "Then the gym. Then the backyard. I'm moving forward by repetition." "Call if you need me," he said. "If not, I'll call you anyway." He left us at the gate with a salute. Annette stayed. We stood by the railing in the kind of quiet that doesn't claw. "Listen," she said finally, glancing at her shoes and then back at me. "I wasn't bluffing about interest on that favor. I assumed you weren't." She took a breath. "You owe me a date." I nodded. "When?" She smiled. "Right now would be interesting. But how about Saturday? 6? I'll pick the place, you bring the steady." "I have steady in bulk," I told her. "Good," she said, tapping the railing with one nail. "Wear a shirt that makes women on 2 blocks think you're trouble. I own exactly 0 of those." She lifted an eyebrow. "We'll improvise." She left with a small wave. I watched her walk down the sidewalk and disappear around the maple. The yard lights hummed. I stacked plates and felt something like relief that didn't need fanfare. The next week was a drill. She called. I didn't answer. Tyler emailed. I answered every line with one-word clarity. She tried a new tune midweek. Voice note that described her day like we were still doing that. "Grocery store, gym, laundry," she said, cheerful and steady, like muscle memory could pull me back. The old me might have listened twice. The current me forwarded it to a digital folder marked archive and went back to my spreadsheet. At work, Mike with the toothpicks kept his promise not to pry, but he showed up at my office door with a box of nails the day after. "For whatever needs fastening," he said. "I'll find something," I said. Friday, I met with my team on a site across town. One of my vendors, Janet, has a way of cutting to the bone. On break, she took me aside, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "You're walking taller. Keep it that way." "Noted." "You free Sunday?" she added. "We're doing a thing at the lake. Grills, dogs, kids. Normal. You need normal." "I'm booked Saturday," I said. "But Sunday I'll stop by." Saturday came fast. At 5:30 there was a knock. Annette stood on my porch in a black dress that respected the line between notice and noise. She gave me one long look and laughed. "You did it," she said. "What?" "You found a shirt that looks like it breaks rules." It's just a shirt, I said. That's how you know, she smiled. Let's go. Dinner was a small place with a chalkboard and a waitress who called everyone Han without sounding fake. Annette asked me about work, not the mess. I asked her about running, not her ex. We talked like people who understood that life is long and decision-heavy. On the way back, she said, "You know what I liked tonight? The pasta. That you didn't perform. People get loud when they want to prove they're okay. You were just you." "I'm not auditioning," I said. "Roles already cast." She nodded like she understood the whole universe. By the time the paperwork ripened and the notary stamps found their home, I felt like a man who'd been sober for a year. The actual date on the form was a Tuesday. I signed with a calm hand. She signed with a trembling one, according to Tyler. I didn't need the play-by-play. That was his arena. Mine was my house, my work, my calendar. She called one last time that week at a weird hour, 11:40, the Band-Aid hour. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was a loop. She didn't mean to. She got lost. She wanted to fix it. When she got to "I miss us," she paused. In that pause, I heard the truth. She missed the comfort, the guaranteed audience, the soft landing. Us was a word she liked because it came with meals. I deleted the message and slept like a man who'd made a decision and meant it. 2 days later, at 6 in the evening, a knock. When I opened, Annette stood there in a light dress and said, "Debt collection time," with that half smile that makes you think she knows 3 jokes you don't. "You keep tidy books," I said. "The tittiest," she said. "Tonight's on me. You just bring that steady you promised." I grabbed my keys. Before we stepped off the porch, my phone buzzed with a text from Tyler, all filed. "It's done." I showed it to her. She squeezed my elbow. "Quick. Let's go celebrate a man who keeps his word," she said. We got in my truck. The engine turned over like it had been waiting months to sound that good. We drove through a town that looked the same as it did last year, and I realized that's the whole trick. The town doesn't change. You change. You decide what you allow in your house, in your head, in your week. You want to know about her? Fine. She moved into a small place across the river with bland carpet and a lease agreement that doesn't care about her stories. She tried to keep some of our crowd on her side with brunches and long texts. People were polite and then busy. The guy from the photos? He found somewhere else to eat his dinner about the time the new locks went on. I didn't follow the details. I only know this because a friend mentioned it in passing, and I didn't ask for more. Me? I got stronger, quieter, and better at steak. I kept the house. I replaced the couch. The grill stayed. I spent Saturday mornings on the porch with coffee that didn't go cold. Work got sharper. I stopped taking calls after 8. I cut a few obligations that were obligations only because someone said they were. I made my life fit me like a good jacket. The last night of summer, Annette walked into my kitchen in a simple blue dress, opened the fridge, and said, "Did you forget? You owe me dessert for that first steak." I handed her a plate with a slice of pie. I'd actually baked myself like an adult who reads the instructions. She laughed. "Look at you," she said, turning page 2 without ripping it out. "I don't rip," I said. "I file." We ate pie on the porch. She leaned on the railing. Streetlights came on one by one. A neighbor kid rode his bike in a lopsided circle. Somewhere a dog barked at absolutely nothing. Normal. Good. Clean. When she asked if I ever wanted to talk about the old mess, I shook my head and told her the only truth that mattered. "There's nothing left to say," I said. "I already said it." Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.